Hey, I figured we'd do a uh, regular kind of video, I guess. Um, but just look at what I'm looking at, and we'll talk. Okay. I hope everyone's doing well. It's almost coming up on lunchtime for me, so I always get like the most hungriest like around 4 p.m. Like clockwork every single day. I become like a yeah, it's exactly 4. So I'm gonna share my thoughts on this really quick, and then I'm gonna go eat. Um, but like, yeah, aliens and stuff, you guys. And I do anticipate some interference for this video because we're gonna be talking about aliens, and yeah, that has to do with like stuff that people aren't really supposed to talk about, or shed light on, or like consider other perspectives, etc. This is one of my favorite comic books. This, if you guys ever want to know like something I love to do, it's like this is my library. I got Watchmen. I got my favorite. Well, Watchmen's my favorite of all time of comic books. I think I can say that. Yeah, yeah, definitely. But and so Alan Moore also wrote Swamp Thing. So I'm a fan of Alan Moore, really. And in this comic book, Swamp Thing, I noticed some similarities, and just do entertain this with me for a smidge, just a quick smidge. This is like page 23 of 200, so it's kind of what happens in the beginning. But it's so cool. I love comic books and Kindle, and it makes me happy. So they're kind of like talking. I don't know exactly where they're at in the scene, but this is like the main character. Oops, sorry. This is like the main character. Yeah, Swamp Thing. Maybe you were right. Maybe we were better dead. Maybe the world has run out of room for monsters. Or maybe they're just getting harder to recognize. Okay, so I just cannot help but like just entertain this with me for a second, and like we can talk. Okay. Then this character says, "Get this straight, a monster. Is that what you're saying from a UFO?" Like, I think he's talking about a UFO. And then, like, military guy over here says, "Sir, right. It's a big green fellow covered in this awful slime and junk and stuff. We found a chip up beyond the mountains." Should I go this way? Yeah, there we go. Can you hear my music from my headphones? But don't you worry, Pop. We got the situation under control. That thing ain't gonna get very far. After all, this is a matter of national security. And this book, I believe, was published, I want to say, I'm thinking the 70s or the 80s. We can fact check that pretty quick. 1982, does that sound about right? Oh, the film. Ooh, there's a film? Oh, of course there's a film. It only got 60% from Rotten. Oh, maybe I should watch the film. Huh. There's so much to comic books. It always has so many layers. That's what I love about it. It's so dense, and you can spend forever studying it and like becoming an expert if you want. Okay, so yeah, the 80s, which is like, I think there were other UFO sightings in the 80s too. I can't think of exact examples at the moment. Let's continue. Oh, oh yeah, sure. Say, you need a hand with those searchlights, son? Elsewhere, Matt. How about a little light here, huh? Abby? Abby, what happened? Where did you go? It's okay, Matt. It's okay. Refers to the alcohol again. It says later. And so after we saw the ship crash, Alec headed up on the mountains to look for the wreckage. He didn't say why. Matt, he told me something about you. He said he thought of you, that all those monsters and horrors and things. He said he thought that you were causing them. He was right, Abby. Even I didn't know it until a while ago, but yeah, Alec was right. It, but it's over now. I've beaten it. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that's everything from that book that I wanted to share. Um, but you know how like when there was the quote unquote crash of a UFO, I think it was Arizona. You guys, was that it? Leaked files show U.S. government confirming they recovered images of UFO wreckage. Yeah, so I think it was stolen by officials and covered up. So this was, what was this? Like, let's just check out this. A UFO crash in Arizona, leaked documents claim the U.S. seized a UFO in May 1953 that crashed outside Kingman near Route 66. Interesting. Isn't Route 66 like a big highway that has like a lot of areas out like are alongside Route 66 that are like military testing? So I'm just making a connection, like possible connection. The visitors came tumbling down from the sky and slammed into the desert just east of Kingman, according to UFO researchers. Author Preston Dennett believes it's more than just a story. He's been investigating UFOs since 1986 and is one of many who had looked at this alleged particular UFO crash, calling it the Paradise Valley crash or Kingman crash. So, I was trying to look at the exact date. Wasn't it just like in early December? Um, so there was this girl who did a TikTok, and she did a really good job of kind of calling out the, you know, um, I could probably find it on my history. But I just wanted to like, wait, what is this? Yeah, is this it? Yeah, this is early December. I don't have like actual sound unless I have the headphones in. Sorry about that. But yeah, like December 2nd. So this guy's talking about it too. You can kind of see like he's showing it on his channel. This guy's named Patrick. So okay, so that was December 2nd. Yeah. Then what I wanted to bring up, why I wanted to mention that specifically, I'll put this in the description. You guys can like follow this link if that's a video that interests you. Um, yeah, I'll put that. Let's do that. Just like put that there, and then remind me later. The reason I wanted to like talk about that is because I just like have a theory, and maybe somebody else might be curious to hear about it, or like maybe we should be talking about it, because I don't. I know one thing for damn sure is like we shouldn't just be um, like accepting the breadcrumb, like the government's breadcrumbing us. Um, and I wanted to like ask questions, and then like if like I'm not like I wanted to be like, okay, here's like I just like have questions. So if it really did crash, because I've seen I know that there's like certain attacks or certain attempts to shoot down the drone, but like a lot of them weren't even like hitting it, or even leaving a dent, or very innocuous, like the shots that were attempting to like you know take down the drones weren't doing anything. So maybe it's not a crash, maybe it's a deliberate implementation of something. And maybe that's why hazmat is that what it's called. I'm trying to keep up. Like, because that's what that girl on that TikTok was saying. Is that they kept telling the suburban like residents of that area where the UFO like drone like crashed, like, and then reporting to everyone like, oh, it's nothing. But if hazmat shows up and then like all these like, you know, like protocol, like government, like branches of like government like show up, that's like the protocol, like that, I think that's just for representation. I don't think that there's actual any like risk. I think that I think that the government and people like the certain branches that are supposed to like, you know, take care of things, that it's vague for a reason. It's ambiguous for a reason. Confusion is a very powerful manipulation tactic. If the government can keep people confused, then the government can keep control and power over the people. Think about how there are certain parts of the city, like why are certain parts of the city or like wherever you live, like there's no lights in that area. What do you think's what do you think has like a higher rate percentage wise in that area as opposed to like a well lit, like more so uppity area? It's because there's urban planning and there's infrastructure, and there's the urban planning for one area. There's not enough funding, so it's not a well lit area. And this is just an example of like, if somebody can keep your lights on, and like that's like the neighborhood or the district that you live in, and it's like dimly lit, you can keep the people from being like sovereign. That's just an example of like how low key like mind control and manipulation is kind of manifested into like our daily reality with like capitalistic ideals and pursuits, etc. Like hedonistic treadmill. And so I think that everything is always presented by the government like to us is like it's for our protection, it's for our safety. So hazmat shows up, so police show up, so the ambulance shows up, so the firefighters show up. But I think that I don't think that, I'm just begging questions. I'm just, what is the word, pontificating? And if anybody else wants to, like, you know, talk about it too, like, that's what this platform is for. I just know for damn sure that I'm not gonna, like, sit back and, like, accept these answers that the government's giving us. And then when I was reading this comic book, I was like, interesting. Like, it kind of got me thinking, like, and also I wanted to point out that in that video with Donald Trump, I wanted to point out something really quick. I keep subtitles on if that's alright with y'all. That's how I... Whoa, 111 a gun. Okay, interesting. I wanted to hear the part where he's like giving this speech. I noticed something about his body language I thought was very interesting. I wanted to see if anybody else had something to say about it. He was like, listen, like, I don't know if I can like paraphrase it exactly the way. Is this it? Yeah, is that it right there? Yeah. Right, that was when like the New Jersey stuff was getting cray. So yeah, okay, so then tell me, he's telling, he's addressing and leaving and giving a press conference, a public statement that he decided to postpone his trip. Cancel my trip. Excuse my sniffles. Do you have any reason to think they're... What are you talking about? Vaccines. So I don't think it's, you know, everything that... Of course, there's more to the story, and I think that it's like more likely a cover-up or a distraction to maintain control in the least, or like time, like also end times. But I just wanted to like say, is it really a crash? Like if, like, I guess I'm excited. There's a lot to talk about, and there's content. I'll try and like slow down just a tiny bit. But what I was thinking is that it was just a thought I had. If the drones, like if like okay, so if they're like so like high technology, like and like out of this world, like and like yeah, like advanced, then they're not gonna crash. No, these are like that's like I think that they're like intentional, like implementations of something, and it's slowly infiltrating like the beginning of the end of the world, like through some virus or through some like type of something. So the one is because also, if you're speaking my language right now and you understand like kind of what I'm saying, then thank you so much for speaking my language. But I also saw in Staten Island that there was a report from a man who said that he saw there's a video on that too. Um, my ADHD is a lot of fun. I'm sorry. uh, it's a good time. It's a good time. I have a good time. Man reporting something, and he said it wasn't no toy. So, like, obviously, there's room for concern. The president in this video says that he doesn't want to visit Jersey. He's postponed his trip. So, what does that say for the residents of Jersey? Like, what are we doing? And that's the government? This is the person that's supposed to be representing order. Not running away from the chaos. You're gonna make a speech. You're gonna make a statement on the area of where it's like where you're talking about, and then trying to assure that the people are safe, but you're not gonna go yourself. So it sounds like you're not gonna walk where you're talking. So I just point that out. There's gotta be that's supposed to be the person that's supposed to represent order, and I don't know, like instill confidence. This is the president is the person that's supposed to instill confidence in the rest of the nation, the citizens, that we are capable of handling what it is that our nation is facing. And when you address the nation, you're not supposed to. It's such a disappointment that he's saying, I'm not going to go to Jersey. And so this is what was also seen in Staten Island. A mysterious glowing object was dropped by a drone over a Staten Island neighborhood, according to a retired NYPD detective. The object was large and appeared to be a military drone. So yeah, I think that I think that there's some type of research going on, or some type of I don't think that. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, is this like? I don't really think that you lose like nuclear like activity type of like super like. I think there's like an extremely high protocol for like that type of like super hazardous material, and that's certainly possible, I suppose. However, it's like it sounds something that's being said just to stir the pot. You know what I'm saying? Because if you can keep people distracted on something that's putting fear in society, then other things can happen underneath our nose that we're not seeing. As like this exact case. So, like for example, like littler things can happen. Because we're all focused on like the big shiny like other stuff going on. Retired NYPD says he saw a drone. This was 6 days ago. So we see drones out in big areas of open space, like kind of big opener, like more open space. We know, like, so when things are happening like this in society, like we have to like ask ourselves and like talk about like, is this something? I'm sorry. I don't mean to touch my nose. I like think that it's really important that we have discussion and dialogue about what's going on, and like consider like practicing like that muscle of like, but is that the truth? You know, just because like I think that's what we should always like be doing. Like, it's important that we're not just accepting what's given to us. Always asking why. And so why, so whenever anything's like, so patterns, we can like use patterns as a way to to learn more and study something that we don't know much about. When you don't know much about something, then it's like, okay, like maybe we can like identify patterns. So far, like drones like to go to like big areas like Staten Island, or like rural out spaced out areas like Arizona, Jersey. So let's see. A Rossville man says he dropped something mysterious near his home in the early morning hours of December 14th. Says he saw a drone drop something mysterious near his home. John Scotto, 59, told the tabloid a large drone dropped an unknown glowing object in the woods near his home. Based on the size of it, I'm sure it was a military drone. It was no toy, Scotto told the Post. He said the incidents happened around 6:15 a.m., where he went out from his front porch for his morning cigarette. Excuse me. Scotto told the Post that he called 911 and police canvassed the areas with a series of flyovers, but were unable to identify what had been dropped by the drone. Drone mania has swept Staten Island in recent weeks after first being reported over New Jersey in mid-November. The restriction for special security reasons will last until January 18th, 2025, the FFA said. The agency in a statement said that the United States government may use deadly force against airborne aircraft if it is determined that the aircraft poses an imminent security threat. The FFA said that the drone pilots who do not adhere to the flight ban may be intercepted, detained, and interviewed by law enforcement security personnel. So, like, yeah, I mean, I've talked about it before, and I'll try and keep this brief, but if you look back at history, even, like, when there was, like, clear times of dictatorships and a tyrant taking over, there's always a philosophy and a propaganda that is instilled into society over time, after creating, like, after there's, like, political unrest and, like, there's stress. And so, like, for example, with Mao Zedong and the Cultural Revolution, part of the customs and, like, traditions was to, like, bring the red book. Everybody had to, like, if you were there in China and you were living, and you had to comply with always keeping, like, a red book. And then that was like, the persuasion behind that was you ought to be a citizen who is well educated on how Zedong wants to, like, how he expects people to behave. And so if you can control people's behavior and control their movement, or, like, you know, because, like, everything there is, like, super, like, surveillanced. And so that's what, like, we're seeing now too, like, super surveillance, like drones all the time. So anytime that, like, that's just an example of, like, from history, like, I mean, yeah, like, you can look at every dictator and see how that they like convince people mentally that there was a danger, and in order to, like, keep themselves safe, they needed to X, Y, and Z. And, like, that's how even, like, Stalin got his power with I mean, it came from bigotry and resentment from the Czechs, and he cleaned out, like, he did, like, an ethnic cleanse based off of, like, the fear of like, another, like, certain race, of, like, another certain, like different dialect. Like, it wasn't the way that he wanted. So those are just two examples from history. But if the government can get everybody scared, then the government has control over everybody, like, in the citizens. So the best way to get us to comply is that it's always for our safety. So what did we see with the pandemic and COVID? Stay inside, stay home, save lives. It's for the like, they'll always use the fear of imminent potential death, or severe injuries, or poses an imminent security threat, like, as a way to gain persuasion of, like, what it is that they're trying to actually do. So I if that makes sense, whenever the government wants to have extra control, or a dictator, they'll convince on behalf of the people that it's for their safety, so it's best if they comply. But if they don't comply, then that's how dictators work. And so I'm not saying, you know, like the US has like gotten to that point, but I'm saying like there's patterns. And I just think the truth is that, you know, there are depopulation tactics being taken. So, you know, I think there's going to be like attempts like to there already are attempts to reduce population with the food and basic like medical supplies that aren't offered, etc. So with all that to say, if there, I guess I'm closing on like two questions, and like that's like my little like, I have like a little bit of background in like political science, and like I'm kind of like nerding out a little bit on like philosophy. But if they're really like that sophisticated and they can fly for a long time without needing battery recharge, or they can like potentially, from the other videos I've seen, like recharge their batteries like in mid-flight, like in the sky, then are they like, they're not crashing? Like that's like, then that, is that a crash? Like like a lot of the military, like policemen were like shooting at it, like it's like not coming down, so our bullets are taking it. Or like, I don't think it's a crash. I think it's like a deliberate implementation of something. So confirmation just now, because like I had a hard time saying that. So maybe there's some other thoughts that you guys have. These are just like, you know, like just shoot, like whatever you want to go ahead and share. If this like, you know, kind of got something like got some gears working for you, then I would like to hear from you. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay chosen. Peace out, y'all.